He had built an empire on the broken dreams of thousands. He had a penthouse but no home. Money but no meaning. Power but no purpose. Then one night, a woman with calloused hands and a humble heart looked him in the eye and whispered the truth he desperately needed to hear. "Don't sign that." Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button. Share with friends and comment where you watching from. Thank you. Hello, I want to tell you a story today. A story that touched my heart deeply when I first heard it. It's about a man who had absolutely everything the world could give him, yet he had nothing that truly mattered. It's about a coffee lady who had almost nothing, yet she possessed the one thing that could save a soul. So please sit with me and let me share this journey with you. Let me set the scene for you. Picture a beautiful city, not New York but Singapore. A city where tall glass buildings touch the sky, where the streets are clean and organized, where expensive cars line the avenues. This is a place where dreams come true for some people, and where other people serve those dreams just to survive. It's a cold evening in December, the kind of evening where the air feels sharp against your skin, and the city lights shimmer like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Deep inside one of the most expensive office towers in Singapore, on the 45th floor, there's a restaurant. Not just any restaurant, but the kind of place where only the richest, most powerful people in the world eat. The kind of place where a single meal costs more than what a normal family earns in a week. The walls are made of dark wood that's been polished until it shines like a mirror. The lights are soft and golden, designed to make everything look warm and welcoming, yet somehow cold and distant at the same time. Crystal glasses sit on white tablecloths. The cutlery is silver, and each piece is different because they're made for different courses. On this particular evening, there's a private dining room on the top floor. Inside this room sits a man named Marcus Chen. Marcus is not just any businessman. He is a billionaire. He is the kind of man that other powerful people fear, respect, and secretly envy. Everyone knows his name. His face has been on magazine covers. His company is one of the largest in all of Asia. He didn't inherit his wealth. No, Marcus built everything from nothing with his own two hands and his ambitious mind. Marcus is 53 years old, but he looks older. His face is sharp like a knife, with lines that tell the story of years spent worrying about money and power. His hair is completely gray now, slicked back with expensive gel that costs more than you might think. He wears a suit that was tailor-made for him in London. His watch is a Rolex, and his cufflinks are made of gold. Everything about him screams success and importance. Yet when you look into his eyes, if you look long enough, you might see something sad and empty living behind all that confidence. Sitting around the table with Marcus are 5 other men. These are his business partners, his colleagues, men just like him. They all wear expensive suits. They all have important titles. They all measure their lives in dollars and cents, in market shares and profit margins. They speak in quiet voices, but their words carry the weight of decisions that affect thousands of people they will never meet. These men are discussing a deal, a very big deal. The deal is simple on the surface, but devastating in its reality. Marcus's company wants to merge with another large corporation. This merger would make Marcus even richer and give him even more power. But this merger would also mean that dozens of smaller companies would be shut down. Hundreds of workers would lose their jobs. Families would lose their income. Communities would lose the businesses that have served them for generations. All of this would happen so that Marcus and the men at this table could add more zeros to their bank accounts. Marcus has the contract in front of him. It's printed on thick, expensive paper. The words are small and written in legal language that normal people cannot understand. At the bottom of the document, there are lines waiting for signatures. Marcus has a pen in his hand. The pen is also expensive, made by a famous designer. He is about to sign his name, which would set this whole process in motion. The other men are urging him on. "Marcus, this is the opportunity of a lifetime," one of them says. "The numbers are incredible. We'll make billions," says another. "This is what we've been working toward. This is the future," adds a third. Their voices blend together like a chorus, all singing the same song about money and power and success. But Marcus doesn't sign yet. He sits there, pen hovering over the paper, and he pauses. He's thinking about something. You see, Marcus wasn't always like this. There was a time many years ago when Marcus believed that business was about creating value, about helping people, about building something meaningful. But somewhere along the way he forgot that. Somewhere between his first million and his first billion. He lost something important. He lost his soul. Now, Marcus's life is very different from what he always imagined it would be. He lives in a penthouse apartment so large that he rarely uses most of the rooms. He has a cook, a cleaner, a driver, and a personal assistant. He has everything he could possibly want except for the things that actually matter. His wife left him 5 years ago because she said he was never home, and when he was home, he wasn't really there. His son is now in college and barely calls him. On Marcus's last birthday, his son didn't even send a message. His daughter moved to another country because she said she couldn't watch her father destroy himself anymore. Marcus has been to the best doctors, the finest therapists, and the most exclusive retreats, but no one can cure the emptiness he feels inside. He has bought paintings by famous artists and sculptures by world-renowned artists, but they just sit in his apartment making it look like a museum instead of a home. He has traveled to the most beautiful places in the world, but he found no joy in any of them. He has attended the most exclusive parties, but he always leaves feeling more lonely than when he arrived. The truth is, Marcus doesn't even know why he does what he does anymore. He doesn't need the money. He could never spend what he already has. He doesn't need the power because he already has more power than he could use. He doesn't even know if he enjoys business anymore. But he keeps going because it's all he knows. It's become a habit, like smoking or drinking. He pursues deals not because he wants them, but because stopping would mean admitting that he has wasted his life. So here he sits, on this cold December evening, about to sign a contract that will hurt many people, so that he can have a little more of something he doesn't even want. And in just a moment his life is going to change forever. But he doesn't know it yet. The waiter approaches the table to refill the water glasses. The restaurant is very quiet. You can hear the ice clinking in the glasses. You can hear the soft sound of the men's breathing. You can hear the distant hum of the city outside the windows. And then something unexpected happens. Something that will change everything. The private dining room has a small service door that leads to the kitchen. This door is pushed open quietly, and a woman enters. Her name is Maria Santos. She is the coffee lady for this restaurant. Maria is not like the other waiters and waitresses who work here. She doesn't wear the fancy uniform perfectly pressed and starched. Instead, she wears a simple white apron over her regular clothes. She is in her early 40s, but her face looks tired, as though she has lived many more years than that. Her hair is black with streaks of gray, pulled back in a simple braid. Her hands show signs of hard work. They're not smooth like the hands of people who sit in offices all day. Maria's job is to make sure that the coffee is perfect. When important clients come to this restaurant, they don't just want any coffee. They want the best coffee in the world. Maria learned to make coffee the traditional way from her grandmother, who had a small coffee farm back in her home country. Maria has been working in restaurants for 25 years. She has made coffee for politicians, for celebrities, for wealthy businesspeople from all around the world. But she remains humble and quiet. She does her job well and then disappears into the background. Maria is not supposed to be in the dining room right now. The head waiter usually brings the coffee service, not the coffee lady. But the head waiter called in sick today, and Maria was asked to help serve the coffee after dinner. She carries a tray with a silver coffee pot, small white cups, and sugar cubes and cream. She moves quietly through the room, setting the cups down carefully, pouring the coffee with practiced precision. She is pouring coffee for the second man when she notices the contract on the table. It's not hidden. It's just sitting there in plain sight. As she pours, her eyes catch some of the words. She sees the name of a company. Her hands pause for just a second. The name she sees is Sunshine Bakery. It's a small bakery, not far from where she lives. It's not a famous bakery. It's not written up in newspapers or magazines. But it's important to Maria, very important. You see, Sunshine Bakery was owned by Maria's sister, Rosa. Rosa had taken over the bakery from their father, who had opened it 50 years ago. Their father had passed away 3 years ago, and Rosa had kept the bakery going with help from her 2 daughters. The bakery made traditional bread and pastries the way their father had taught them. The neighborhood loved it. People would line up every morning before work to buy fresh bread. The bakery was a gathering place where people knew each other's names, where they asked about each other's families, where they celebrated life's important moments. But 6 months ago, a big corporation started buying up all the small businesses in that neighborhood. They wanted to build a shopping mall, a modern shopping center with big chain stores and chain restaurants. They offered money to the business owners, but the money was never enough to help them start over. Some owners took the money because they had no choice. But Rosa refused. Rosa said that she would never sell the bakery that her father had built. She said that some things were worth more than money. Now, as Maria reads the contract, she sees the name of this corporation. The corporation that wants to tear down all the small businesses in her neighborhood. And she sees Marcus Chen's signature, waiting to be signed at the bottom of the page. She realizes that this is the deal that will destroy Sunshine Bakery forever. This is the deal that will take away her sister's livelihood. This is the deal that will hurt so many people in her community. Maria feels her heart racing in her chest. Her hands shake slightly as she continues to pour the coffee. The other men don't notice her reaction. They are too busy talking about profit margins and market expansion. They are too busy being excited about the money they will make. They don't see her as a real person. To them, she is just a shadow, just someone who appears and disappears, someone who is part of the scenery. But Marcus notices. He looks up and sees the coffee lady's hands trembling. He sees her face, and he can see that something is wrong. He is about to ask if she is okay when Maria does something very brave. She leans down closer to him, closer than a server should lean to a customer, and she whispers something in his ear. She whispers 3 words that will echo in Marcus's mind for the rest of his life. Don't sign that. And then she steps back, her face flushing red. She realizes what she has just done. She has stepped out of her place. She has dared to speak to a powerful man, to a billionaire, as if she were his equal. According to the rules of the restaurant, according to the rules of society, she has done something terribly wrong. She should be fired for this. She might be reported to the police for harassment. Her career could be over. Her family could lose their home. The other men at the table look at her with expressions of shock and amusement. What did she just say? One of them asks. Some kind of warning. Another laughs. They think it's funny, the idea that a coffee lady would dare to speak to Marcus Chen. They don't take her seriously. They think she is crazy or stupid. But Marcus does something unexpected. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't call security to remove her. He simply nods slightly and he says quietly, "Thank you. You can go now." Maria quickly leaves the room, her heart still pounding, her face still red. She goes back to the kitchen and puts her head in her hands. She wonders if she has just ruined her life, or if she has just saved someone else's life. She doesn't know which yet. Now, I want you to understand something about Marcus Chen before we continue. Marcus is not a bad man in the way that some men are bad. He is not cruel or violent. He doesn't hurt people because he enjoys it. He hurts people because he doesn't really see them. To Marcus, people are just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are resources to be used or discarded. They are obstacles to be overcome or advantages to be exploited. He has become so focused on accumulating wealth and power that he has lost the ability to see the humanity in other people. This happened gradually over many years. When Marcus was young, he was different. He was kind and idealistic. He believed that hard work and determination could help him build a good life and help others build good lives too. He started his first business when he was just 25 years old. It was a small import-export company that helped local farmers sell their products to restaurants in the city. It was honest work and it helped many people. Marcus made a good living and he was happy. But then something changed. Marcus's company grew larger and larger. He became more successful and more wealthy. And with each success, each new contract, each new acquisition, he felt a little bit empty inside. He thought that the next deal would fill that emptiness. He thought that a little more money, a little more power, a little more success would finally make him happy. But it never did. By the time Marcus turned 40, he had completely transformed. The kind young man had been replaced by a calculating businessman. The idealist had been replaced by a pragmatist. The man who helped people had been replaced by a man who used people. He told himself that this was just how business worked. Everyone did it. This was how the world functioned. The strong survived and the weak perished. This was not cruelty. This was nature. His first wife, Anna, tried to tell him that he was changing. She said that the man she married was disappearing, being replaced by a stranger. But Marcus was too busy to listen. He told her that she was being emotional and irrational. He told her that his work was important, that it required his full attention. When she wanted to have dinner together as a family, he said he had to work late. When she asked him to spend time with the children, he said he had important meetings. When she asked him if he still loved her, he didn't answer. He just turned back to his computer. After 12 years of marriage, Anna left him. She said it was not a sudden decision. She said she had been trying to reach him for years, but he was too far away to hear her. She took their 2 children with her to live with her parents in another city. Marcus didn't fight her on this. He didn't even try very hard to keep his family together. In his mind he was relieved. A family was just another distraction from his work. Years later, Marcus married a second time. Her name was Jennifer, and she was a beautiful woman who was impressed by his wealth and status. But Jennifer didn't love Marcus. She loved his money. She loved the shopping and the parties and the expensive vacations. And Marcus didn't love Jennifer either. He married her because she looked good on his arm at important events. Their marriage was transactional, like everything else in Marcus's life. When Jennifer got older and started to show signs of aging, Marcus lost interest in her. He spent less and less time at home. He had affairs with younger women. Jennifer eventually left him, taking with her a settlement of millions of dollars. Marcus didn't even feel sad about it. He just felt relieved that she was gone. Marcus had lovers, but he never had love. He had acquaintances, but he never had friends. He had business associates, but he never had people he could trust. He was surrounded by people who wanted something from him, whether it was money, favors, or access to his power. But no one wanted to be with him just because they enjoyed his company. No one saw him as a human being worthy of love and respect. No one, that is, until Maria whispered 3 words in his ear. Now, after Maria leaves the dining room, Marcus sits very still. The other men continue talking about the merger, but their voices sound far away, as though he is listening to them from underwater. He stares at the contract, at the empty lines waiting for his signature. In his mind, he is hearing Maria's voice over and over. Don't sign that. Don't sign that. Don't sign that. One of the men, a man named David Park, notices that Marcus is quiet. David leans forward and says, "Marcus, are you okay? You look pale." Marcus doesn't respond immediately. He is thinking about something. He is thinking about his son, his only child from his first marriage. His son's name is Michael, and he is now 23 years old. Michael graduated from university last year, and he didn't invite his father to the ceremony. When Marcus found out about the graduation, it was already over. He read about it on Facebook, a social media platform where his son had posted photographs of the event. Michael had written a caption under the photographs. It said, "Surrounded by people who love me. My father couldn't make it, but I didn't expect him to." These words had cut Marcus deeply, though he didn't tell anyone about it. He had read that caption 100 times, trying to figure out where he had gone wrong. When had his son stopped expecting him to show up? When had Michael accepted that his father would never be there for him? Michael now works as a social worker, helping poor people in the most dangerous neighborhoods of the city. He helps street children, people with addictions, homeless people, and people who have been abandoned by society. Marcus doesn't understand why Michael would choose this work. There's no money in it. There's no status. There's no prestige. So why would Michael spend his days helping people who can't help themselves? A few months ago, Michael called his father. It was the first time they had talked in almost a year. Marcus was shocked to hear his son's voice. He thought that Michael had forgotten about him completely. Michael said that he was calling because his work was being featured in a documentary. A film crew had followed him around for several months, watching him help people in the slums. The documentary would be shown on television and in film festivals around the world. Michael said that he wanted his father to know about it, even though he didn't think Marcus would be interested in watching it. But Marcus was interested. He watched the documentary as soon as it was released. He sat alone in his penthouse apartment, and he watched his son help a young girl who had run away from home. He watched Michael comfort an old man who had no family. He watched Michael organize a community program to teach people job skills so they could find employment. And as Marcus watched, something inside him began to crack. Michael was doing something that mattered. Michael was helping people. Michael was making a real difference in people's lives. And Michael had not done this for money or fame. Michael had done it because it was right. Michael had done it because he actually cared about other human beings. Marcus realized that Michael had become the kind of man that Marcus had wanted to be when he was young, before ambition and greed had consumed him. After watching the documentary, Marcus had tried to call Michael to tell him how proud he was. But Michael didn't answer. Marcus left a message, but Michael never called back. And now, months later, as Marcus sits at this expensive table about to sign a contract that will hurt thousands of people, he is thinking about his son. He is thinking about what Michael would think if he saw this contract. He is thinking about what Michael would think of his father. Marcus sets down his pen. One of the men notices this and says, "What's wrong? Why did you put down your pen?" Marcus still doesn't answer. He picks up the contract and starts reading it more carefully this time. The other men watch him, confused. This is not like Marcus. Marcus never reads contracts carefully. He always just signs them. He has lawyers who handle the details. As Marcus reads, he begins to see something that he had glossed over before. He sees that this merger will result in the closure of 47 small businesses. He sees that approximately 3,000 people will lose their jobs. He sees that several of these businesses have been operating for more than 20 years. He sees that one of them is called Sunshine Bakery, which has been operating for 50 years. And he realizes something for the first time. He realizes that behind each of these names is a person. Behind each business is a story. Behind each job is a family. There is someone who built this business with their own hands, just like Marcus built his company. There are children who depend on these jobs to eat and sleep in safe homes. There are parents who have invested their whole lives in these businesses. Marcus imagines what it would be like to lose everything. He thinks about what would happen if, tomorrow, someone took away his company and all his wealth. How would he feel? What would he do? Where would he go? For the first time in many years, Marcus tries to imagine the lives of other people. He tries to put himself in their shoes. And the exercise is extremely painful. One of the other men, noticing Marcus's hesitation, says, "Marcus, these people are nobodies. They run small businesses that make almost no profit. They will be better off if we buy them out. We will modernize the area. We will bring progress." The man says this with complete confidence, as if this is obviously true. And Marcus realizes something else. He realizes that this is exactly what he has been telling himself for years. This is the justification that allows him to hurt people without feeling guilty. They are nobodies. Progress requires sacrifice. The strong survive and the weak perish. But after watching his son's documentary, after seeing his son help people that society had written off as nobodies, Marcus wonders if the concept of a nobody actually exists. He wonders if every person has value, whether or not they have money or power. Marcus looks at the contract again. He reads the paragraph that explains what will happen to the small business owners. It says that they will be offered a buyout price that is 60% of what their business is worth. It's not a fair price. It's not even close to a fair price. It's the price of someone who has all the power and someone who has no power at all. The business owners can take the money and try to start over, which will be almost impossible. Or they can refuse to sell and eventually be forced out when the corporation purchases enough of the building to force them out anyway. It occurs to Marcus that he could change this. He could insist that the business owners be paid a fair price. He could negotiate better terms for them. But the moment this thought enters his mind, one of the other men notices his expression and says, "Marcus, don't tell me you're going soft. These deals happen all the time. It's business. It's not personal." And that's when Marcus understands the problem. That's when he sees the real issue. The men at this table have convinced themselves that business is not personal. They have separated their business decisions from their humanity. They can destroy lives because they don't think of those lives as real. They don't see the people behind the numbers. And Marcus has been the same way for so long that he barely remembers what it felt like to see people. Maria's whisper has cracked the armor that Marcus built around his heart all those years. And now, through that small crack, his conscience is coming back to life. His humanity is returning. And it's terrifying. Marcus stands up. The other men look at him in shock. One of them says, "Marcus, what are you doing? We haven't finished the meeting." Marcus takes a deep breath. He looks at each man in the room one by one. He sees their confusion. He sees their hunger for power and money. He sees reflections of his former self in their faces. And he realizes that he doesn't want to be like that anymore. He doesn't want to be the man he has become. What Marcus does next will change everything. But first, I need you to understand that this moment has been building for a long time. It's not just about Maria's whisper, though that whisper was the final trigger. This moment has been coming since Marcus watched his son's documentary and realized that he had wasted his life chasing things that didn't matter. This moment has been coming since his son didn't invite him to his graduation. This moment has been coming since his wife left him and his children stopped calling. But sometimes life works like that, doesn't it? Sometimes we need one small thing to tip the balance. Sometimes we need one person to see us, really see us, and care enough to tell us the truth. That's what Maria did. She saw that Marcus was about to make a decision that would hurt many people, and she cared enough to whisper a warning, even though she risked everything to do it. Marcus pushes back his chair and stands up. The sound of the chair scraping against the floor is loud in the quiet room. All 5 men look at him with expressions of confusion and then slowly changing to anger. "Marcus, sit down," David says. "We need to sign this contract tonight. The board meeting is scheduled for next week." But Marcus doesn't sit down. Instead, he picks up the contract, the stack of papers that represents the destruction of 47 small businesses and the suffering of thousands of people. He holds it in his hands for a moment, and then he does something that shocks everyone in the room. He tears the contract in half. The sound of the paper tearing is clear and definitive. It's the sound of a decision being made. It's the sound of a man choosing to change the direction of his life. The other men jump up from their chairs, their faces red with anger. "What the hell are you doing?" one of them shouts. "Do you have any idea how much money we've already spent on this deal?" "You're finished, Marcus," says another. "We're going to sue you. We're going to destroy you." But Marcus doesn't respond to their anger. Instead, he looks out the window at the city below. He can see the neighborhoods where these small businesses operate. He can see the lights in the windows of homes where families are sleeping. He can see the streets where people are walking home from work, tired but hopeful that tomorrow will be a better day. Marcus speaks quietly, but his voice is steady and strong. "I'm sorry, gentlemen. Can't do this. I won't do this. Not anymore." You're crazy, David says. Do you know what you're throwing away? Billions of dollars. Power. Status. Everything we've worked for. Marcus turns to face him. I know exactly what I'm throwing away, he says. And I'm beginning to understand what I've already thrown away. My family. My integrity. My soul. I've been throwing those things away for the last 15 years, one decision at a time. And I'm not going to throw away anything else. The men are silent for a moment, stunned by his words. Then David laughs, a harsh, bitter laugh. You're having some kind of breakdown, he says. You need to see a doctor. This is insane. Marcus shakes his head. Maybe, he says. But if it's insane to care about the lives of other people, then I'd rather be insane than sane. If it's insane to believe that some things are more important than money, then I'd rather be insane than live the way I've been living. He walks toward the door of the private dining room. The other men follow him, still arguing, still trying to convince him to change his mind. Marcus, think about this, one of them says. You can make a difference to these people by developing their neighborhoods. We'll modernize the area. Progress requires sacrifice. Marcus stops and turns around. I've heard that argument before, he says. In fact, I've used that argument myself. And I realize now that it's just a way to justify hurting people. The truth is that progress doesn't have to require the destruction of people's livelihoods. We could develop the area in a way that includes the existing businesses. We could help them modernize instead of destroying them. But we won't do that because it would cost us a little more money, and that's the only language we speak. He leaves the private dining room and walks out into the main restaurant. The waiters and waitresses are still serving other customers at other tables. The restaurant is busy and alive with conversation and the clinking of glasses. No one seems to notice that something monumental has just happened. Marcus is looking for Maria. He finds her in the kitchen, preparing coffee for the next course of meals. She is concentrating on her work, pouring hot water into cups, measuring the coffee grounds with precision. When she sees Marcus, she freezes. She looks terrified, as though she is about to be punished for what she said earlier. Don't be afraid, Marcus says gently. I wanted to thank you. Maria's eyes are wide with shock. Thank me, she asks. I thought you would fire me. I thought I would lose my job. Marcus smiles sadly. You saved me, he says. You saved me from making a terrible mistake. I don't know your name, but I want to know it. I want to know your story. Will you sit down and talk with me for a few minutes? Maria is confused and hesitant, but something in Marcus's eyes tells her that he is sincere. She takes off her apron and sits down with him in a quiet corner of the kitchen. My name is Maria Santos, she says. Why did you warn me? Marcus asks. You risked your job, your livelihood. Why? Maria explains about her father and the bakery. She explains about her sister Rosa and her nieces. She explains that this merger would destroy the one thing that kept her family together. As she talks, her eyes fill with tears, and Marcus realizes that his decision to tear up that contract has just saved her family from suffering. But then Marcus realizes something else. He realizes that there are thousands of families like Maria's. There are thousands of people who will suffer from deals like this one, decisions that are made in rooms like the one he just left, by men like him who don't even think about the human cost of their choices. I'm sorry, Marcus says. I'm sorry for what I was about to do. I'm sorry for the deals I've already done that have hurt people like you and your family. I can't undo the past, but I can try to do better in the future. Maria puts her hand on his shoulder. It's a simple gesture, but it's more comfort than Marcus has received from another person in many years. He feels tears starting to form in his eyes, and he doesn't try to stop them. He lets himself cry, right there in the kitchen of the expensive restaurant, in front of the coffee lady who had the courage to tell him the truth. Over the next few hours, Maria and Marcus talk. Marcus learns about her life. She works 2 jobs, one in the restaurant and one in a hospital cleaning rooms. She has 3 children, and she is raising them alone because her husband died in an accident 5 years ago. She sends money to her sister to help keep the bakery open. She goes to church every Sunday and believes in the goodness of God, even though her life is hard. Marcus is humbled by her story. He is humbled by her strength and her faith. He realizes that Maria is a better person than he will ever be. She has so little, yet she has generosity and kindness. He has so much, yet he has been selfish and cruel. Marcus doesn't go home that night. He sits in the restaurant, thinking about what he needs to do. He realizes that he has to make a choice. He can go back to his old life, to his company and his wealth and his power. Or he can try to become a different person. He can try to use his wealth and his power to help people instead of hurt them. The choice seems obvious to him now. How could he go back to his old life after this night? How could he ever hurt people again, knowing what he now knows? How could he ignore the suffering of others, having finally allowed himself to see it? When morning comes, Marcus makes some phone calls. He calls his lawyer and tells him to cancel the merger deal. He calls his business partners and tells them that he is stepping down as the head of the company. The men are furious. They threaten to sue him. They threaten to destroy him. But Marcus doesn't care anymore. He has already been destroyed many times over by his own choices. The only thing that remains is to rebuild. Marcus also calls his son Michael. It's early morning and Michael is probably sleeping, but Marcus calls anyway. When Michael answers, confused about why his father is calling at such an early hour, Marcus says, "I watched your documentary. I watched you help those people. And I realized that you became everything I should have been. I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry that I was such a terrible father. But I want to try to do better now, if you'll let me." There is a long silence on the phone. Then Michael says, "Dad? Are you okay? Are you sick?" "No," Marcus says. "I'm not sick. I'm actually feeling better than I have in a very long time. I'm starting to feel alive again." Michael says, "Okay, Dad. We can talk more about this later. But right now I have to get ready for work." It's not a warm reunion. It's not the moment when Michael throws his arms around his father and tells him that everything is forgiven. But it's a beginning. It's a small crack in the wall that has separated them for so many years. And a beginning is all Marcus can ask for. In the weeks that follow that night in the restaurant, Marcus's life transforms completely. It's not a sudden transformation like magic or a miracle. It's a slow, difficult process of change and growth and learning to be a human being again. First, Marcus steps down from his position as CEO of his company. The business partners are furious, but Marcus doesn't care about their anger. They eventually find a new CEO, someone very much like the old Marcus, someone who measures success in dollars and power. Marcus knows that this new CEO will probably go ahead with the merger and destroy the small businesses. This thought troubles him, but he realizes that he cannot control other people's choices. He can only control his own. Marcus hires a lawyer to help him negotiate with his business partners. He agrees to let them buy out his shares of the company at a price that is below what they're worth. He loses billions of dollars in this transaction. Most people think he is crazy. But Marcus has realized that money is just paper and numbers. What matters is having a clear conscience and the respect of your own reflection when you look in the mirror. After settling his business affairs, Marcus takes his remaining wealth and does something that the business world finds completely incomprehensible. He starts a foundation. He calls it the Second Chance Foundation because that's what he believes we all deserve. He believes that people deserve a second chance to make things right. He believes that communities deserve a second chance to survive.